If I were to ask you who your favorite BFDI character was, who would you say? Ruby? Tree? Snowball? Well, I can almost guarantee you that you didn't say Roboty, who, even today, is often regarded as the worst contestant in BFDI. But personally, Roboty is one of my favorite characters in the entire show. And it isn't just because I think he has a cool design or I like his voice, but I genuinely think there's a rich and complex narrative surrounding Roboty that everyone is missing. And I want to expose this narrative to you all and help convince you guys that maybe Roboty isn't all so bad, and you can afford to at least not flat out dislike him. But first, we need to go back to the beginning and figure out how Roboty got to where he is. Roboty's journey began as one of the 30 recommended characters eligible to debut in BFDI. Each character only got about 2 to 3 seconds to stand out to the audience in order to get viewers to vote for them, and Roboty had one of the most unique designs out of the 30. Despite this unique design, he got the least amount of votes, receiving a grand total of 2. Moving on from that first appearance, Roboty, alongside the rest of the cast, was given a second chance with BFDIA, and viewers can now vote for anyone to join the season as many times as they wanted. So now, Roboty got an even better chance at joining. Yet, he wasn't anywhere close to competing in this season either. It's in BFB where Roboty finally gets a shot to compete. So, let's do a quick rundown of Roboty's role in BFB. Starting with BFB 1, Roboty reluctantly joins Leafy's team and informs 4 of the team name, forging Team Beep. Later, Balloony uses Roboty's antenna as a spring to reach the basket and win the challenge. So, not much to say here, but it's the first episode. BFB 2 is where we get to see an actual look into Roboty's character, as he ditches his team to relax at his waterfall, but he quickly comes back after Woody calls out for him, but he proceeds to get crushed by a jawbreaker and is out for the rest of the episode. He does, however, call out Leafy for her terrible management of the team. Now that we've reached Roboty's first official elimination, things aren't looking too good for him based off his less than fortunate voting history, but hey, he actually survives this elimination. And bonus, he's even the one to suggest they use Cloudy to spin the team's swing, so he's also directly responsible for the team winning the challenge. Let's see how Roboty is in BFB 4. And never mind, he's not even in this episode. Maybe he's off at his waterfall. I don't know. BFB 5 sees Roboty rejoin his team, and he shows support for David's new interest in piloting. Note this, by the way, this will be important. But he doesn't do anything afterward, and Beep loses. And despite the fact David was responsible for Beep's loss, Roboty is unfortunately the one who takes the fall and is eliminated in BFB 6. And even worse, he got the least amount of votes again when given the chance to rejoin the show. But hey, on the bright side, Roboty did help his team out quite a bit despite his short run in the game. Out of the 3 challenges Beep won with Roboty on the team, Roboty is directly responsible for 1 win as well as an assist. So, with this rundown of Roboty's run in the game, it still leaves the question, why is Roboty so hated? Now, there's a lot of reasons why Roboty is so disliked amongst the fan base, but to put it into a single sentence, he's just such a bizarre character. He speaks through Morse code, so the viewers either have to manually translate what he's saying or the show translate for him in order for anything he says to make sense. He's one of the most immobile contestants, just sort of sliding across the ground wherever he talks. And of course, he's a non-object, which makes him a target to viewers who see him as weird. Unfortunately, Roboty is just a departure from the traditional BFDI contestant, and I think that's what turned a lot of fans away from him before even giving him a chance. But obviously, I think Roboty is more than just some weird, limbless robot who speaks through Morse code. I think below all his ones and zeros is a complex character that's begging to be let out of its mechanical shell. Now, in order to get a proper understanding of Roboty's character, I'm going to use both direct translations and translations the show gives us for what Roboty says. With this in mind, we immediately get to emphasize with Roboty as he says nobody likes me and I'm hated during his BFDI 18 and BFB 11 cake at stakes. Roboty is well aware he's an unpopular character, and it helps make him sympathetic, as no matter what he does, the viewers just can't seem to not dislike the poor guy. Roboty clearly has a bitter side to him, since he pushes away Leafy and straight up dishes his team a couple of times to be alone at his waterfall. And that's another thing, the waterfall. It's the most important piece of Roboty's character, but what exactly is it and what does it mean? We see Roboty come here to unwind from the competition, and he later claims he's at peace by his waterfall before being absorbed by 4. The waterfall is also backed by night mode, which helps further emphasize the peace and serenity that surrounds this location. But strangely, the waterfall seems to have a mind of its own with some paranormal, supernatural elements to it. The actual whereabouts of it are clouded in mystery. Besides Roboty, only Four and Woody ever find themselves here. But the waterfall itself seems to have a mind of its own, either existing in two places at once or somehow moving, as Four and Woody arrive there in two very different ways. When Four finds Roboty, it clearly exists somewhere on the surface, as Four flew above ground to get to Roboty. But when it reappears in BFB 14, Woody escaped through a chute that was going even further underground. So what gives? Well, I initially thought the idea of a portal or a teleporter of some kind being at the bottom of the garbage chute was stupid, but I started thinking about it more and more and more, and it started to become more plausible the more I thought about it. The truth is, I think the waterfall is a sort of pocket dimension, a place that exists outside of reality with multiple entry and exit points, serving as a rest stop between reality. Now, I know that sounds like an absolutely ridiculous idea, but just try and stick with me here. Somehow, Woody managed to find himself inside the waterfall despite going even further into the planet. And while you could argue maybe he just got teleported to the surface, it wouldn't explain how it connects to Four's eye or how Roboty gets there so quickly and seems to reappear just as fast in the plains. You could say that you could say that it has to exist on the surface since Four flew above ground to reach Roboty and seemingly arrived at the waterfall by just flying. That still wouldn't explain how Roboty can seemingly vanish in an instant and suddenly resurface. It's not like he has super speed, since there are plenty of cases when that could have been useful, both in challenges and outside of them. I think Roboty has a sort of method, whether it be a device or an action, that allows him to freely travel both to and from the waterfall as he pleases, until he's eventually caught by Four and blocking his connection to the waterfall. So, with the waterfall itself explained, what does it represent for Roboty's character and the show as a whole? Well, looking at what the show gives us, the waterfall is a metaphor for escapism. It's the perfect place for you to run to and forget your troubles. It's to clear your mind. You can just sit by the waterfall, listening to the running water, admiring your surroundings, all while night mode peacefully plays in the background. If you think that's far-fetched, well, then you haven't been paying attention, because it's exactly what Roboty does throughout the show. Heck, it even applies to Woody escaping the lava by going down the trash chute and being met with the waterfall. A moment of serenity from the chaos going on in the outside world. Back to Roboty, though, the waterfall is everything Roboty wants. He knows the viewers despise him. He knows the physical pain that comes with the show. And so even when he's eliminated, Roboty has a waterfall to go back to. A place where he can finally be at peace. Away from the viewers. Away from the show. All alone. Simply enjoying the scenery until the end of time. Except that's not what happens. Four catches Roboty, sucking him up and trapping him inside the exit, forcing him back into the game he wants nothing to do with. The game that only continues to remind Roboty how insignificant he is to the show and how unliked he is. All of this eventually culminates in Teapot 7, when Four discovers the Exiters trying to escape, and when Roboty's captured, Pencil dismisses Roboty, calling him dead weight. This is the moment that I believe breaks Roboty. The moment when Roboty desperately needed help, his own classmate called him dead weight and moved on. He didn't even want to be a part of the show anymore, but since he's there, he makes sure everyone knows they'd regret leaving him behind. When Four interrogates Roboty on the whereabouts of the others, Roboty doesn't bother helping Four out. He despises his other teammates or classmates, but he wants to make sure he's the one who gets vengeance on them. However, there may be one contestant in the show who actually shows genuine care for Roboty. His former teammate, David. This is where that BFB 5 scene comes in. David was the only character in the entire show that Roboty seemed to have an actual friendship with. Roboty supported David and his decision to pilot their paper airplane, and David was the one who tried to bring Roboty along with the rest of the Exiters, and was clearly against the idea of leaving him behind. You could also argue Lai liked Roboty, but she didn't seem too torn up about leaving him behind after closing the door. David, meanwhile, continued to press that they go back to the classroom and find his old teammate. Now, what this means in terms of Roboty's revenge, I don't know. Maybe David will be spared, maybe he won't. We'll just have to wait and see. The important takeaway is that Roboty isn't alone. He's not completely disliked by the cast and viewers, and someone actually respects him and treats him like a friend. And what better character to befriend Roboty than David? Another character fans and contestants see as weird, useless, and or dead weight. The tragedy of Roboty is the unreasonable hatred he receives from everyone around him, forging his desires to escape away from the people who do nothing but make fun of him and just be at peace with himself with no worries about the world around him. Unfortunately, Roboty can't have this. He's now forced to be a part of BFDI, whether he wants to or not, and continues to deal with the problems he's trying desperately to avoid. Whether Roboty will continue to be only hated by everyone around him or will finally receive appreciation is unknown. But as it is now, this is the tragedy of Roboty.